our actual original design, and this was our original tapeworm boss. A lot friendlier looking, and we just didn't want that. We wanted it to look pretty mean, so we changed them up. And some of the reasons we had to do this were just some art things that we were not used to. Mostly the try count was pretty low, something we hadn't worked with before, so we had to remove the tentacles around the face that were going to shoot laser beams at you for some reason. And you know, we also had to place everything in the environment with joints, which was something we just have never done before. But honestly, we figured it out, worked out great, and our environment artist, Matt and Miles, did an unbelievable job just making the most disgusting, awesome environments ever. So I'm going to hand it off to Jeff Baffey, and he's going to talk to you about the technical side of things.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about our rail system. The rail system you can think of kind of like a roller coaster. You get on the ride and it takes you where it wants you to go. And that's what our rail system does. You get in the ship and we take you where we want you to go. It's also kind of like the haunted house at a corny carnival where the guys pop out and try to scare you, except in this case they're trying to kill you, so you should probably kill them. The way we do this is the artists build the level, and when they're done, they place rail points or waypoints throughout the level. And then these waypoints get translated into positions through the world. And then these positions get put in a list. The camera looks through the list, goes to the first one. Once it reaches it, tries to reach the next one, and so on and so on. And that's how we move you through the level. What we also do, though, is we can trigger spawn points for enemies with these things. So when you reach number 3, we can say, hey, make a common cold come out in a diamond formation, or make a ravens come out in the line formation. The reason why we use the rail system is because it made our AI, our enemy AI, a lot more interactive and a lot more fun. Originally in the game, we were using our enemies, they were spawning out of the world and traveling independent of the rail. And what would happen is, because the rail is pushing you through the level so fast, you would pass by the enemies. They would pop out, and you'd see them and just pass them by. They wouldn't shoot at you because they just went away. When we put them on the rail, they end up staying in front of you, going through the level, and it makes the game a lot more intense, a lot more fun. Which fit really well with our vision. And I'm going to give it to Tom next, and he's going to talk to you about what went right, what went wrong, and what we learned.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Now, through any 5-month cycle where you try to develop a game, or any cycle at all, you're going to run into problems. We have a picture here of Eric having a rough day. One of the biggest issues we had, first of all, which Barry had mentioned earlier, was an issue of vision. This ran into some huge complications with level creation. When you're developing tech for a rail system and you're trying to create environments at the same time, it's very important to understand the size and the scale of these environments. Through a combination of not exactly understanding what everybody wanted the size to be, we spent a lot of time going back and forth between the artist and the technical side of things, trying to create an environment and a game pace that would be engaging and entertaining. Next off, we had 3D effects. These got in a lot later than we had hoped. We underestimated the task at hand, and thankfully Eric pulled through. He kicked a lot of butt, and he triumphed over his sadness here. And lastly, our sound pipeline was also another issue that kind of affected the vision of our game. Later on in the game's development, we finally got our final assets in and working in our game. This created some issues with the vision, because if you're working with placeholder sounds, it's very hard to understand the feel and the development of your game as you continue through it with sounds that aren't even close to what they should be. But thankfully, aside from that, we had some great triumphs. As Jeff covered in the first 2 bullet points earlier, with the enemy AI and the rail system, those turned out amazingly. We also had testing mode and iterative design, which really turned our game into something incredibly entertaining. Our testing mode allowed us to place enemies at any given point that we chose, as well as test different things like the strength of our weapons, the number of enemies on the screen at the time. Should we have 5 homing missiles, 1 million homing missiles? It allowed us to test for a lot of different things, and it really gave birth to the entire multiplier system. Finally, the things that we learned. Communication is king. If we had communicated more openly and appropriately right from the beginning, our vision would have been more cohesive, and that also led into the idea of the iteration. Had we communicated a bit sooner, we might have been able to start our iterative design much earlier on. Now, that would have created even more things to add to our game that would make it more fun and more engaging, but what we ended up with was great. And the bottom line is we kept it simple. In the long run, we had a lot of options and a lot of choices, but we found the simplest thing to do that was the most entertaining, and we stuck with it, and it worked out great. Are you guys ready to see the game?
Yeah.
We will have Dr. Ricky Keller playing the game for you, and Mr. Tyler Weichel walking you through.
Thank you very much, Tom. Now, before we get this going, I don't think y'all sounded excited enough. Come on! This is an awesome game! Our beautiful Barracudas logo provided by Dan Liebenthal. So, as we're rolling this game, we're going to first come to our main menu. And it looks like we're all good. So let's check out our competition in this high score, see what Ricky has to beat to try to get on this list. Oh, we got Tom up there with his 2 million points being all flashy, but this looks okay. We got 650,000 on the bottom, so I think he can get somewhere in that range. All right, let's get out of this menu and get into the game. That's what everybody came here to see, right? I hope there's more excitement at the end. All right, so first you see our how to play screen. On the left side, you'll have the movement controls, letting you know how you're going to move around, as well as on the opposite side, the aiming and firing, how you do that. So basically, how you move and how you combat the enemies. So let's go into the game. All right, so as you see, we have entered our esophagus level, and the first enemy you'll see is our common cold enemy. He will show up in various formations. The first one we believe is the horizontal, and then we also have a diamond formation, and then you'll see the rabies in his horizontal formation. Oh, that's the noise that Ricky is dying, and as you can see, our wonderful death effect created by Miles Maxwell. And Ricky didn't do so well that time, so you get to see your stats, see how well or how poorly you did. Well, not so well because he died, but let's hit this retry and give it another shot. Now while he's flying through and going to hopefully do better against these enemies, I'll talk about the environment a little bit. You'll notice that you see many different things going on in our esophagus. You have large stringy mucus pieces, you have big old brown food clumps, you have peas and carrots hanging around, there's some pills lying around, big old pink lesions that are all nasty and looking. You know, it's just to help bring a lot of life to our environment and do a lot of bring you into the game and realize that you're in a pretty disgusting, gross, sticky looking environment. So Ricky's gonna keep flying through, and you'll see how he's using both our oxygen cannon and homing missile to defeat these enemies. And I'll take this time to talk a little bit about, you'll see the multiplier system and the combos on the left side of the screen, just showing you what you have and what you can use at this time. So as we're coming to the end of our esophagus level, the nice little valve,